Is AI going to take my job? That is the question in the minds of a lot of us who work online, and I have absolute empathy and understanding for the fear that that question raises. Now, we all know full well that the media makes money off of fear, and so we should take what is said in the media with a grain of salt. But is there a thread of truth in the doomsday predictions around jobs, or is it just the media overhyping the next theme which they can instill fear with? I want to speak specifically to my fellow web designers today and give my predictions for the web design industry in the world of AI. So to start though, let's look at a prediction that was made about 15 years ago. This is when do-it-yourself website builders like Squarespace and Wix started gaining momentum. So the prediction at the time was that these DIY platforms would completely eliminate designer and developer jobs. And as we know, designers and developers are just as in demand as ever these days, sometimes being hired for really complex website builds that need more development work than is possible on these DIY platforms. And interestingly enough, though, often they're actually being hired to work on these DIY platforms like Squarespace and Wix when clients still want someone with expertise to build their website for them. Now, these new tech tools to the market meant both more small businesses and brands and bloggers could get websites built because the costs that were completely prohibitive before were lower with these tools, making the industry as a whole larger. New jobs were created in the form of Squarespace designers and Wix designers, and then the developers and designers also retained their jobs too, and they just went and worked on more complex projects off of these platforms. But now AI is the new Squarespace and Wix. It's the new disruptive tech tool. But is it different this time? Let's look at some real world cases, and I'll make predictions in the world of AI. Who will win the job in this case, the designer or the AI? I was on a business trip recently with a friend who runs an industry-leading yoga and wellness business in the German market. And like any good business owner, she was looking to keep her costs reasonable, but also knew that she was in desperate need of a website overhaul. She runs a completely online business, so her website is quite literally her entire storefront, and it was getting pretty unwieldy and really outdated looking. So she asked me my honest opinion. Should she even hire a designer for $15,000 or $25,000 right now? Or should she just wait because maybe soon AI will just be able to do it way cheaper in the near future? Now, context on this project, she has a blog with hundreds of posts, dozens of sales pages. She has sales funnels, email marketing integrations, checkout software integrations, Zapier automations, and she wanted to move her website to a different platform too, and she wanted a really specific design style in this new website. So for anyone who knows the web design industry, you will know that this isn't really just a web design project, it's an entire project management job too. This amount of old content and automations and integrations would take a ton of coordinating and working in tens of different softwares to move and reintegrate everything. So I gave her my honest thoughts that she was definitely going to need a website designer for this. If she just wanted a basic 4-page website with maybe a nice design, yes, maybe AI in a couple of years would be able to make her something that she would like, but this wasn't just a website project. This was an entire online business management and moving project, and she wasn't just gonna need one human for this, she'd probably need a couple of humans to help her do this one. So in this case, the web designer would definitely win this project, now or in the future. But not every client has a 10-year-old online business. What about a more simple project? Just after that first conversation, literally a week later, a good friend of mine who is a dentist was visiting us in London. He showed me the website for his dental practice, and I asked him, how much did you pay for it? He let me know it was 10,000 euros. The website had 4 pages. It looked pretty modern. It included an online booking option for people to book their dentist appointments right online. It had some light SEO work done to it as well. It was overall a fairly basic web design project, and knowing what I know about DIY website builders, I was just genuinely curious and asked, had he considered building it himself at all, or maybe getting his admin assistant who worked at the front desk to do it. And he looked at me like I was fully crazy. He was like, I am an expert at root canals and not websites, and I have a practice to run, and my admin assistant is also busy as it is. We just hired a designer that another dentist friend had recommended, and it was done within a month. So his response sounded like the response that I had heard from dozens of business owners over the years. They are experts in their industry and they have a business to run. They know that their time is better spent generating revenue and not penny pinching. In an AI world, This friend is one with whom the latest website building tech or AI is completely irrelevant. He's going to hire an expert to do it and do it well, no matter what happens in the industry, just so that he can get back to running his business and cleaning teeth. Recently, in my student community Facebook group, there was a discussion about AI and website design and would it take all of our jobs, to which Nancy said, "A lot of my clients aren't tech savvy enough to use a Google Drive folder, so I don't think that they're going to be using AI anytime soon to write their website." Nancy's comment reminded me of one of my personal favorite clients. It was a lovely lady who was running a wedding venue. She had a dream project. She had gorgeous images of her beautiful wedding venue. She had a design style, which I absolutely loved, and just personally, she was an absolute ball and such a pleasure to work with. Granted, this was not the easiest project in the entire world, as she was a little bit older on average than most of my clients, so things like explaining how to watch a Loom video, or how to make a Pinterest inspiration board, or how to create subfolders within the Google Drive so that she could put all of her content for her website and organize it, or how to complete the online workbooks which I created. It just took a lot longer to explain those things and assist her with those things. I was happy to do it, but there's no doubt that it definitely added a level of complexity to the project, which brings me to another type of project that I doubt AI will be taking over anytime soon, and that is projects with people who aren't necessarily digital natives or who aren't super tech savvy or confident with tech, and they're hiring a web designer specifically because the tech overwhelms them. Okay, so complex projects with busy ROI on their time-focused business owners, and projects with people who just aren't the most tech savvy in the world are probably pretty firmly safe projects that designers will continue to do in the future. But what about someone who is reasonably with it in terms of tech ability? They want a new normal-sized website, they have no madly complex integrations, but to whom brand and a real luxury or elevated aesthetic is super important to them. When AI website building tools came out, I decided to take one for a test drive and see what it could do. So I asked it to build me a site for a luxury wedding photographer. I figured if I was a client, I would likely want something similar to the amazing website from KT Mary. And this is what AI produced. That wasn't quite the look I was going for, but I mean, A for effort, AI. AI website building tools in their current stage are at the point where you can give some basic prompts and it will fill the pages with a few sections and maybe throw in a few relevant words and copy. But it's not really matching the design style to the prompts or getting the essence of the point. If you're a luxury wedding photographer, then you communicate in a very subtle way about that luxury vibe through the use of visuals and design and branding, and not through splashing the word luxury across your website. Granted, where AI site builders are right now, they'll put together a rough start of a website for you, and then you will definitely need to spend a pretty significant amount of time editing it yourself to actually match it to your vision. I'd honestly argue though that what an AI site builder would start you off with these days is even worse than if you just picked a template that you liked. Now, I do believe that this is a use case where we will see the greatest development in the future. So while our web designer would still hands down win this web design project right now, AI will definitely make improvements in this area, and maybe in a few years' time, people who are luxury wedding photographers, for example, who want a very specific look and feel to their website, may consider AI website builders as an option if they improve significantly. But I think designers, we are pretty safe and still landing these projects for the foreseeable future. Speaking of the luxury category, let's talk about my Christmas present from my husband that he got me the other year. A piece of fine art, a beautiful painting of a forest at the change of the seasons, which now sits beautifully above our mantle and fireplace, and which brings me joy every single time that I look at it. It was painted by hand by an artist. It has texture to the piece, there's blobs of paint which are imperfect and unique and fantastic. This hand-painted piece was obviously significantly more expensive than going and getting a piece of art from IKEA to just fill the place above our fireplace. But that's the thing, we weren't just looking for something to put above the fireplace. It took my husband a long time to find that one-of-a-kind piece, which the image itself, the changing trees along a pathway, had a sentimental meaning to us, and which fits the color concept of the space too. Now, it probably would have been a lot easier and less time-consuming to buy a piece from IKEA, but it would obviously have been a lot cheaper, and maybe even a piece of art from IKEA would have been a more perfect piece of art. But he bought me this instead. Why? because we place value on creativity and because I don't want the same IKEA art that everyone else decorates their house with. I place value on something custom created by an artist by hand. And when creativity is done cheaply and is mass market, it kind of ruins the whole art aspect of it and makes a section of the market want to go completely in the other direction, honestly, just to be special. And my prediction is that this will be the same for website design. When AI can build everyone some templated blah for $59, just like you can buy a piece of art from IKEA to fill the space above your fireplace, a section of the market is going to want to go in the opposite direction and get something that's really special. It's the same reason people buy designer handbags for 40 grand. Designer bags for 40 grand, yes, they are beautiful, but there are plenty of smaller, more independent bag brands for maybe $1,000 or $2,000 with the same level of beauty and quality. So why buy the bag with the telltale Chanel symbol or the Hermes clasp? They're showing status. They are buying into the brand. They want to be the type of person who owns an Hermes bag. They like what the bag says about themselves, and they want to be associated with that brand. They want to be different. We've chatted about luxury handbags, hand-painted art, and how that relates to AI website design. Let's next discuss yoga classes because it also relates. My sister is constantly touting the benefits of her daily 20 minutes of yoga with Adriene, which she does from home, and she questions why I'm blowing my money on yoga classes at a studio. Yoga with Adriene from home would take less time because of the lack of needing to commute to a class, it would cost less, and now apparently she even has a YouTube live feed with 24/7 classes if I want the live feeling of a class. So why do I still book and pay for yoga classes? I force myself to go do the workout by paying for the classes. I legit paid the $20 for a class because I am the type of person who at 8 a.m. hits, and the only reason that I am dragging myself onto the mat is because I paid for it and I'm going to feel guilty if I don't go because then it'll be a waste of money. So that's why I don't do yoga with Adriene. This is the same reason that people hire personal trainers, not because they don't know how to work out, but often because they just want to put down the $100 and have someone show up at their house and tell them to pick up the barbell. They're basically just doing it to stop themselves from procrastinating on working out. And that is the same for website design projects. Clients have procrastinated a zillion times before to get their site images together and to learn how to build a website and to pick the website building platform and to try to figure out their copy and to find time in their schedule to actually build the thing. Often, clients intended to build a website themselves, but a year later, still without a new website, they just pay a designer to do it just to force themselves to complete the project. They're literally paying money more for a kick in the butt than the actual website design. Now, I'm curious for the day that a robot can actually manage to force a person into completing this type of a project. Somehow, I don't see AI calling up their web design client and gently reminding them to send over their photos. Otherwise, they're going to lose that $2,000 project deposit. Okay, so I've shared some examples with you, and designers are so far clean sweeping, but the truth is I do believe a small segment of the web design market is going to use AI tools over designers in the future. Now let's talk about those scenarios. We have a young tech-savvy guy or gal with more time than money on their hands. This was me at the start of my business, to be honest. I was straight out of university and I definitely didn't have any money for a custom website design, so I just learned to do it myself. These ladies and gents are going to use whatever tool is the best out there for making a website design and getting their idea and design idea onto the page. Now, honestly, as we saw from my fantastic luxury wedding photography AI example website, it probably won't be AI right now, but as it progresses, an AI-enabled software or AI tool might be the best bet. And in that case, I do believe that this person in this case is going to DIY the website, maybe with AI, and not hire a designer. Granted, this isn't actually cutting down on the pool of work for designers that they currently have, because even today, this person wouldn't be hiring a designer now anyways. They would probably be going to SQUARESPACE to build the website themselves. So again, this isn't really cutting into the pie of potential web design projects that exist right now anyways. But what about clients who want a really great website? They don't have a crazy massive budget. They're not the luxury people out there trying to make a statement, but they do have a small budget nonetheless. This web design client, they want a good website, but they also want the confidence that it's done correctly, that it meets the design best practices, that it looks really good, that it functions well, which honestly, these are a lot of the same reasons why people hire website designers now, even with the availability of DIY website building platforms. So my prediction is they'll hire a designer who uses AI to build the website faster than the designer could do it themselves without AI. Again, though, remember, this is a future scenario. This honestly still is impossible right now. And that client then gets a custom website, but at a lower rate because the designer does it in a day versus maybe a week, which it used to take the designer to create that website. This means that custom sites become more accessible to more people. Designers do faster projects because AI helps them to do it quicker, meaning the designer can take on more clients. They get paid probably less per project, but because they can fit in more projects, they would make a similar profit at the end of the day. Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI and ChatGPT, was asked if programmers and developers would likely lose their jobs. And his response?
I think the world is going to find out that if you can have 10 times as much code at the same price, you can just use even more.
So in terms of really replace jobs, is that a worry for you?
It is. I want to be clear. I think like these systems will make a lot of jobs just go away. Every technological revolution does. They will enhance many jobs and make them much better, much more fun, much higher paid. And they'll create new jobs that are difficult for us to imagine, even if we're starting to see the first glimpses of them.
I think the world is going to find that if you can have 10 times the amount of code at the same price, you can just use even more of it. And seeing that nearly 1 in 3 small businesses in the US alone still don't have a website, not to mention all the redesign projects that come up every 2 to 3 years when people need to update their website, I think we can safely say that this probably also applies to the web design industry too. The world can use a lot more websites. So my fellow website designers, take heart. The AI tools that are out there right now are far from capable of doing what you do. And while they will improve, as we've seen, I think there's still a lot of other reasons why people will still hire you, as I've explained. Oh, and the website willrobots.takemyjob.com rates website developers, website administrators, and graphic designers at low risk of losing their jobs to automation due to the demand of these specific jobs for both a mix of technical and human-centric skills. So there's that too. So if you still have an interest in learning to become a designer after all of this, but you don't really know how to get started, then watch this video next as I share how I would learn web design if I had to start all over again.